Spirit into our session, Father. We thank you for your guidance. We thank you for everything that you've been doing, Father. We thank you for the continued growth, Father. We thank you for the prosperity, Father, that you are giving us, Father, and the blessings so that we can be blessings to others. We just thank you, Father, for this session. Again, we invite your Holy Spirit, Father. We thank you for ideas and concepts, Father. We thank you for growth. We just thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We super appreciate you. And let's see, because I was reminded so lovingly, I do need to have a disclaimer that anything we discuss on this call is for the purpose of educational purposes only. These are, I'm not your financial advisor. I am not your lawyer. I am not your accountant. So having said that, this is just, a few people discussing trade ideas, discussing charts, discussing numbers. You are still an independent trader. You are responsible for your own account. You're responsible for the decisions you make as a person. So not on me. We're just going to go over a couple of things. So as I share my screen, this call is going to be a little different for those of you who are in the advanced member or mentorship kind of training group. We're not going to be going over the fancy, indicators that we built. We're not going to be going over the other strategies that we discussed. So today we're just going to discuss some super simple, super easy setups, some swing trades, intraday or interday. As Scott so lovingly told me the other day, it's intraday, right, guys? It's interday or intraday. Anyways, that's what we're going to go over today. So if you have any questions, comments, there's quite a few people. Oh, didn't work. Let's try that again. So stop share. I was really determined to make sure this would share the appropriate way, and it's being a silly butt. Yep, I don't have control over it. So I'm going to go to, you guys can see my VPS, right? So you guys can see this screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's super strange. So I won't be able to kind of drag and drop the other windows, but you guys will get the point. So real quick, as you guys know, today is FOMC. So please be mindful in terms of US dollar pairs that you trade. It will shake the market. So we know gold just dropped an exponential amount of pips. How much more it's going to drop? That's a perfect kind of railroad top, if you guys can see that. We still have about 71 more pips until we get to the ADR low. I don't know how much we're definitely going to get out of it with FOMC, but that's exactly what we want to see. That railroad top is ideal. So this is what we're kind of seeing on gold, and we're going to see that across the board on a lot of US dollar pairs. So in the signals group, we just talked about USD CAD, but so be very careful with any USD pair you trade. If you guys check the news, FOMC is kind of a big deal. And even above and beyond that, we've got, let me pull it up. The building permits just came up higher, I believe. Let me filter these results, take off the orange and yellow news. So we have the CPI, FOMC meeting minutes, employment change, and that's just for the US dollar. And that's today. So tomorrow we have some GBP, Euro pairs, Euro news, GBP, Canada, and USD. But the most notable, I think, for the week is FOMC. So just be careful when you're trading USD pairs, because this will act out of structure. So we trade by technical analysis. Most of the people on this call are not fundamental traders. That's why we typically avoid the news. So if you're in a USD trade, protect it. If you're going to trade a USD trade, make sure you have on a trailing stop, make sure you have on a trade manager, make sure you're prepared for huge spikes in either direction, because the odds are in favor that that is what will happen. So today we're going to start with just a couple of pairs. It's going to be a shorter call. If you have questions, I know that a couple of you messaged me and asked if I could go live this morning because you needed help with a specific topic. It's great to message me, but then when we're on a live, just be willing to kind of come out, share your screen, discuss or ask on a call. That really helps you and it helps me. So yeah, we're going to start with USD, okay, sorry, gold. As you guys can see, that kind of railroad top, I was hoping that it would go a little bit further up before we kind of finish pushing down, but we did not get that move. So we still could potentially, but the odds are in favor now that we've kind of broken this area. The odds are very much so in favor that we're going to see this push down. So if it comes even to retest 50% of this, that would be good. That would be breaking the ADR low. Good chance of seeing that. We might retest, but I don't think so, because typically when you get these kind of formations, price goes in the opposite direction. So gold looks to be a pretty safe sell, But keep in mind, that also might mean you have a 50 pip pullback. This is a fast moving pair. So if you can't stomach that, just kind of be mindful of that, if you guys could please. So that's what we're seeing on gold. It kind of lines up with most of our analysis. If we scroll out, we don't yet have triple arrows, but we do have triple arrows on the 4-hour chart. That's our big arrow, little arrow, yellow arrow. We came up and made a double top. We actually broke that high, which is why my original thought process was we might push up a little higher. But before we do that, I think we have a pretty safe amount of a pullback, but it depends on what happens economically, because gold is a emotionally traded currency. So it's very emotionally respondent to people. So that's what we're kind of seeing on gold. Real quick, I will go to USD CAD because that's just a really slow moving, very safe, kind of steady pair. For those of you guys who don't know, this isn't going to typically knock you out of anything extreme. It's not going to have violent 70, 80, 100 pip swings in either direction because it has a really low average daily range. So this pair, you can afford a pullback, even if the pullback is, pretty big for the pair. It's typically not huge like it would be with a GBP pair or gold. So on USD CAD 4-hour chart, we have a bias for a, what is that, bearish market, right? Kind of pushing down. We have our triple arrows, daily dots, monthly, weekly, 4-hour support, right? And I will zoom in now. Hold on, I hear somebody breathing. I'm going to mute all. There we go. Okay, so get that out of my window. There we go. We finally did break that low. So if you guys can see, just basic structure here, we broke this low. We broke below it, really safe, even just to the ATR low, or ADR low, depending on how you're calculating that. And that's not a lot of pips. So when we get in and around this zone, we might have that pullback. But either way, that's kind of how I'm seeing it, is we finally broke structure. So I'm okay with whatever pullback we get. So even if we get a pullback, I'm okay with that, because ultimately we broke this trend line. If you guys can just imagine me drawing a trend, or imagine my 50 EMA as a trend line, I'm okay with that. So we broke it, we retested it, we kind of consolidated, which is what we want, because consolidation means a lot of contracts, a lot of buyers and sellers are coming into the market at this point. So there's a lot happening. Now we're waiting for the breakout in either direction. It could definitely go up with FOMC, but my bias is to kind of retest and come down here for a pretty safe 120-ish pips, give or take, right? You're easily going to get your 50 to 100. Anything above that, if we're just going to the previous structure, I think that my trading analysis has it at 120-ish, give or take, on Trading View, which would put it about here. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of USD CAD. I will go to my next favorite pair of the week, which is still fooling around, but I think that has to do with the virus in China. So that's kind of part of the territory. Again, this is a odd JPY 4-hour time frame, triple arrow system, right? We broke above. Okay, we now consolidating, which is what we like to see. Most traders freak out at this, but this is where there's a lot of accumulation. Actually, a friend of mine used that word, but I thought about it and I was like, it is kind of accumulation, right? So this is consolidation in terms of what we call it, but this is technically accumulation, and that's not a bad thing per se. So now we're waiting for that break to the upside. If we're looking at how many pips we can get out of this, give or take, from where price is currently at, you'd have a minimum stop loss of about 70, 80 pips. As you guys can see, that's much bigger than USD CAD, but your potential gain is very, very high on the longer time frames. Either way, again, you're looking for, give or take, 50 to 100 pips. So your risk to reward is pretty good, pretty safe in general trade, with the exception of the stuff going on in China, and economically speaking, that's extremely affecting the JPY pairs. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of that. Anybody who's looking to sell the euro pairs, if we click on any euro pair, I'm kind of staying out until we get some massive confirmation. I'll start with euro USD, some huge confirmation. We would need a break to the upside. We would need, price to tell us what's happening. Otherwise, the euro pairs have been pushing down pretty extensively. So to try to buy, I apologize, for anything that's not a pullback is, in my opinion, kind of a really foolish idea for trading, because you're going against this enormous trend. So you see this huge drop. Clearly, we want to pull back. Clearly, the market needs to breathe. We know that. But I don't like to trade when I don't have a lot of confirmation. I'm the kind of trader who takes the later entry that's more confirmed. I'll take 50% of that middle of the move. If you think about the beginning and the end, I'll take that portion of the move pretty safely and pretty consistently versus consistently trying to time the bottoms. So everybody wants to time these bottoms over and over again. And then we get stopped out. You lose your money. We push lower, we push lower, we push lower. And now we're here. So we are kind of stalling, which is great. But as of right now, we still don't have any confirmation to start trying to buy the euro pairs. Now, can you probably get, enough pips for a pullback? Absolutely. Can you probably scalp up a few pips in this zone because of where it's kind of having this consolidation, this accumulation in the market? Yeah, you probably can. But for a long-term swing trade or intraday trade, it's just not ready. So that's what I'm seeing across the board on the euro pairs. Comparable thing to the NZDs. Everybody wants to buy them, but they just pushed and pushed and pushed. So right now, we're not. So this one is NZD CAD. We broke below. We do have some buyer's divergence, but why are we going to risk our accounts? Why are we going to risk our income, our monies, it's just not a safe investment. Because keep in mind, you guys are traders, but you are investors. So would you invest your child's college future on this? No. We are pushing down. We made it another impulse move to the downside. So we do not want to go looking for buys, at least in terms of a safe trade, when we have another impulse move below. So somebody messaged me about this pair and say, come on, don't you think so? It's been pushing this and the euro pairs. But ultimately, I'm staying out. There's no reason for us to go kind of knocking on the door of every single trade that comes out, because it's better to stick with what's moving and what's trending than necessarily trying to time the bottom. So for those of you who are desperately looking for these to buy, I'm all for it. I want them to buy too, but they're not ready yet. So we're going to skip it and we're going to make wise decisions. So NZD USD, I believe that was Pat. Look, he's on a cruise. Of course, he wanted to deliver to the family. So I believe he posted a couple of things in the signals chat. We can tell because it didn't come with Elvis's extensive disclaimers, and it didn't come with my alarms and videos for those of you who are asking. Yes, these were Pat signals, and this one for an NZD pair is still a better bet because you've got this double bottom forming. You've got triple arrows, right? We are stopping in this area. But this is, again, technically, if we take the arrows off of the system, I mean, this is timing a bottom, which isn't bad per se, depending on how you're trading. But my style still says, I want confirmation. I want to be in the middle of the trend and just take that chunk, because I can take that chunk in one or two trades in terms of getting knocked out for that 50 to 100 pips, or I can just use that fancy indicator and re-enter over and over again based off of a smaller time frame and catch that entire middle of the move without having to be wrong all the time with these, kind of consolidating areas, double bottoms, going against it. So it is a double bottom. We do have triple arrows. Not a bad thing. We're stalling out, which is what we want to see. We do have buyer's divergence, which already played out. So that divergence is no longer valid, right? Let's see. We have a kind of an impulse move to the upside, but this impulse was already canceled out by this momentum bearish candle to the downside. So as of right now, that's kind of how I'm seeing this trade. We did finally break above and we were stalled out here. Fair enough. But this impulse move to the downside, if you guys can see this purple candle underneath the news, makes it not as worth the risk to me. The benefit, though, is it's a slow mover. It's only moves on average 46 pips, in the last week or so per day, and your stop loss would be rather tight. So that's an advantage for sure if you decide to take this now. That's definitely a positive thing in terms of trading, is keeping your stop loss tight. So ultimately, it's up to you, but that's what I'm seeing in terms of that. In terms of Canadian pairs, kind of comparable story. They've pushed up so much, as well as U.S. oil. I'm pretty sure, was it oil that went up or down? I'll have to look, but we've already made the move. So I'll go to CAD JPY. Right now we'd be waiting. So we don't want to keep kind of jumping on this. Okay, so this has already made the move. We broke out to the top side. So for right now, let's see. Could we possibly get up to here? Yes, but we would need a healthy pullback. And because this is an impulse move, we may or may not get it. fully enough to make it worth, thank you, Eric. Yeah, I thought it was up because it moved the same direction as Canada. So those are huge moves. We don't want to go chasing the market. We're going to get some good trades. We have a few good trades. I know Elvis is putting out some really good trades. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in terms of most of the pairs. There's no need to click through 58 pairs and say, well, what do we see? Because this is what's happening in the market across the board. It kind of sums it up fairly well. So GBP is dropping again. We'll go to GBP USD to kind of cover the Great Britain pairs. Kind of same story. As of right now, I'm waiting for confirmation. UJ, I will take a look, but I already chose my USD pair with FOMC. And between that and gold, I'm not going to risk much more. Hold on, let's see what happened with those trades. Let's see. So GBP USD, we're pushing down, but I'm not going to risk this faster mover with USD pairs right now because of FOMC. So I'll sit this one out. We had our push to the upside. We have officially broke that trend to go back down. So the odds are you're going to get this safe, really safe to the ADR low. It's too easy. You might get your pullback. Okay. So you might get that 20, 30, up to 50 pip pullback before you drop that next 30 pips. If you can stomach trading that way, pretty safe trade in general probably will happen prior to FOMC if the market doesn't stall out because of FOMC. So just something to kind of consider. Let's take a look at USD JPY for those of you in the Zoom chat asking. Melly, I don't think I've seen you on here before. Let's see, let it load. This broker has to think a lot, kind of to not nice. Not nice. So a lot of you guys in the regular SuperEZ channel were trying to sell this pair. Most of us within the advanced membership group were buying it. I know that Elvis sent out a signal on it. I know that we discussed it. I think it was last Thursday or some odd time, or Friday maybe. I know people are posting screenshots because when we're trading, we're going with where money is going, and money was going up. So many of us were buying this. It was going up. So again, because of FOMC, we're not going to touch this now. We officially just made a higher high. And that's not like a tickle me high. That's not like a maybe baby high. It didn't just bounce around this area. It broke out. I mean, that literally broke above where price had been stalled out since what, January 13th. So we'll go to a higher time frame just for conversation purposes. US 30 is buying. We were scalping that a little. Why was scalping that a little? I will take a look at that. Lewis, can you talk? How much of that gap did you catch?
I'm still in it to see it complete.
That's awesome. We checked to see if the gap was available on TradingView, and it was. So that's a very safe trade, but your account needs to be able to handle it. So that's a beautiful trade. How many pips are you up?
It says 1870.0. I guess that's by points. So 187.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yes. Well, it depends on the broker. I mean, so to say yes is kind of a fluid conversation. So it depends.
AFX.
Then yeah. So the spread is kind of high. What is the spread on AFX for US 30 again?
45.
Not bad. Not bad. Well, then you're up. You're still in profit, and you definitely have some room to go.
Yeah, the past 2 days, I'm up over 600 on it.
That's beautiful. Good job holding that. I scalped it a baby bit, but I didn't hold it.
Yeah, it looked, once I saw the gap, I said, I'm holding this puppy. I've been taking profits along the way.
Smart man. Way to go. Way to go. That's awesome. Okay, guys, real quick to finish the conversation on USD JPY, we're not waiting for this to sell. I mean, there's a good chance if FOMC goes a certain way, you're going to get that impulse move, but keep in mind that's fundamentals. That's not technical analysis. So can we ride it? Absolutely. But should we necessarily ride it? Well, if you're asking me, the answer is no. Unless you are skilled in the art of news trading, the straddle strategy, unless you're skilled in that area, we are still on an uptrend. We are pushing up. We made a higher high. We don't have any, room or confirmations for a safe pullback to kind of get enough pips to make it worth entering. So if you're asking me, we're not looking to sell this. We are still pushing up. So I hope that answers your question on UJ. And last but not least, I will go to US 30. Let's see. Okay. As soon as it uploads. There we go. Oh, poor baby. I wish I was holding this trade, but I don't like holding indices. I just don't. Like Australian 200 is fine to hold. German 30 even reasonable to hold. But the US ones, they're violent. They're aggressive little things. I'd rather scalp them, and I'm not a scalper. So what was it, Ridwin? How do you say your name? Or Lewis? That was Lewis talking. So the people who were asking about US 30, this is the gap. We did confirm we had this gap on a lot more than one broker. So we're pretty confident it's going to fill. This is kind of that perfect kind of, it's not necessarily a head and shoulders, but we kept pushing down. If you had waited for the right confirmations and actually, so here's something to think about. You guys, a lot of you bought in this area because it gapped. But if you had waited, okay, we still did not have the MACD above the 0 line. And everybody wants the fast entry. I get it. But this was still pushing down. So does it technically have a gap to potentially fill? Yes, it does. But even here, for those of you who keep trying to take the faster entries, there's your crossover on the MACD. You have buyer's divergence. Everybody and their mama would have been trying to buy. If you actually waited just for the confirmation to break above the 0 line on the MACD, this is when you actually get your move up. And now, again, we're above. We've got a little bit of buyer's divergence, and we're just mildly, just baby amount above the 0 line. So if your account is big enough and you can handle this trade, you have the potential of a lot of pips, a lot of pips. I mean, this one move would, take a few months off depending on your account size, this one move. But you got to be able to hold whatever violent swing happens, because it could be very violent, especially with FOMC. So that, I don't want to click through every pair. I mean, I know Irving does that. I know Pat does that. So I think that that's kind of done enough, essentially. So having said that, those are the pairs I did want to discuss this morning. Does anybody have any question, comments, pairs, or what have you that you'd like to discuss or take a look at? Anybody at all?
Jenny.
Good morning. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we asked you to set up my charts yesterday, if you remember.
I do remember. You're one of the reasons I'm on here. You and Mike,
Oh.
a couple other people. So, yes.
Just tell me when you're ready.
Okay, so we're going to start with you. Well, let me answer somebody. GBP CAD, possible head and shoulders from the day chart. So first off, I'm going to let you share your screen. So are you kind of ready to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve-O, I already went over USD JPY. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And you're going to pull up your screen. Okay. So you would go to the bottom. Oh, good job. You're on it.
Yeah, so basically just the scalping strategy for Hugo's way.
The scalping strategy?
Yeah, so when you had the 8 MACDX,
Well,
the
hey,
ADS.
I'm going to cut you off there. So the scalping strategy, we're not going to discuss on this because this right here is live with SuperEZ, and it's live actually even on YouTube. Okay. So because of that, now for that, we can do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, but just set up my screen. Can you do that?
With the triple arrow system?
Oh, okay. So you can't set up my charts.
Well, those indicators are custom made, private, and licensed. And Scott, that's my brainchild. So Scott was joking that I'm the mama, and I said he's the daddy. So he's put in a lot of work to create that. It is a very well done thing that we don't want released on YouTube. We don't want it released. All that good stuff. So that I have to help you with in the SuperEZ, kind of the longer calls that we do for hours and hours. So I can do that with you tomorrow. Fair enough. I apologize.
Okay, no worries. What time tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, our call is at 9. I want to look for a couple of trades, hopefully enter an indice pair or a gold, maybe a swing of some kind. And then we'll kind of go into strategies and information, and maybe the fractal strategy, and we'll help you set up it all. And I promise you, there's so many people on that call who help out. They step up. They, as you know, they participate. So we can do that tomorrow. Fair enough?
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Well, then I'm going to let you stop sharing then.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go back to getting control of this. Okay. Bear with me.
Stop it.
Good morning. Margosha, I will check on Euro GBP. You guys know that is not my love. I do not love that pair at all. Not even a little baby bit. So I'm going to go to basic. There we go. Advanced. I'm going to make sure we are sharing. There we go. We're sharing right here. So does anybody else other than him? I'm sorry, Gator, I can't be more help at this very moment, but we will do that tomorrow. So does anybody else have any questions, comments, pairs? Steve, we just went over USD JPY. It's pushing up, and unless we have a reason and a verified, entry, we're not looking for it to continue to sell right now. We're looking for it to continue to buy. So a pullback would be a pullback, but otherwise it's an uptrend, and that's kind of what's happening.
Jenny, the JPY, the 4 hour, or
Yes, sir.
buy? Oh, well, actually, I'm in it for a buy.
Me too.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Odd JPY? This one?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the higher time frame. So this is odd JPY. I'm going to go to the 4 hour. Here's what I'm seeing. And I did go over this one too. So we had our impulse drop. We kind of broke above this trend line. So if you can imagine my white line being a trend line, kind of a crooked, squiggly one. We broke above it. We retested it. Okay. If this is, I'll try to draw a trend, but you guys know what it's like drawing a trend line on MT4. It's like crazy. Thank you. Not bad. It didn't freak out on me. So here's our trend line that's going down. We broke above it. We retested in that zone. Remember, it's never a straight line. It's like more like an area of interest, right? So we retested it, and now we're consolidating. This right here, and I'm going to zoom in to make it a little bit more legible. We finally broke above this previous 4 hour, these 4 hour dots, right? Which essentially is just an area of support. It's just an area of interest. So we broke above it, granted with the wick, but now the body of the next closing is also, the next candle is also pushing higher. So if this would quit freaking out on me, there we go. So you have another 18 pips to the average daily range of average daily high. From there, you have about 50 pips, even if we're going to continue to trade in this zone that it's created. So it still looks like a very safe entry. And now if I zoom back out, make it a little ugly for you, okay, we have a lot of upside potential. Actually, in my opinion, if I go to the day chart, here's kind of the upside potential I'm seeing. So we have this perfect kind of upward. We broke to the bottom. If I measure this on the day chart, okay, from where price is currently at, we have a lot of potential. The odds are we're going to get a huge pullback in this area, but I'm seeing this to go up quite a ways. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to have potential sell opportunities that are worth 50 to 100 pips, but that's kind of what I'm seeing for odd JPY. Is it's a pretty safe trade. Mindful of the fact that JPY needs to pull back a little, and mindful of all the stuff with the virus going on internationally speaking, it is massively affecting the JPY pairs. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome.
I'm just trying to get to that 74 20 area. If I get there, I'll be happy.
74 2020. Let's see where that's at from where price is currently at. Well, that's not bad. Well, that's only like 25 pips. Yeah, that's definitely doable. Definitely doable. So I think that you definitely will have that amount of pips. I mean, again, we can't guarantee anything, but when you take a trade, your job is to do your analysis, take the trade, and walk away. So you're not looking for confirmation. You're not looking for, constant reassurance. You're taking the trade, and then you say, okay, I trust my analysis, and I'm content with it. And now you can go talk about, the football game or the halftime show if you're Derek, or whatever, okay, and go on with your life. So if you took this trade, be comfortable enough to know that your trade manager has it protected, right? Be comfortable enough to know that you are, safe. US 30 is dropping. It's dropping.
God bless J-Lo and Shakira.
Listen, Derek. Like, listen. See? Okay, yeah, definitely. If you're him, you're gonna talk about the halftime too, because that's really important information. But that's kind of what it's about. So I like your analysis, just so you know, I do like it. US 30, I'm gonna go to the 1 minute chart just to show you guys, because I've got another screen open that's showing me it just dropped hard. It's wicking to the downside. Did you get knocked out for the guy who was in it, Lewis?
No, I'm still in it.
You didn't have a trailing stop on there, did you?
I moved my stop, but I got in at a good price. I got in at 2914.
2914.
So way at the bottom where the dots are, where you have the daily dots.
You're holding. Look at you. You're like all kinds of like.
Yeah. So
way
it's
to
moving
go.
up. It was a fake move, so it's moving up right now.
Oh, you see that wick? Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This just gave somebody a heart attack. How much
Wow.
do you guys want to bet? Somebody just died right now. That's not funny. I can't joke like that, but you know what I'm saying. It's not funny because you know that there's some truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
Some retail trader out there is freaking out, going, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?"
Well, I have an indicator that I use that helps me out to see the market waves, the way it moves, and I've been doing so much better since I matched that up with the triple arrows.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we can all teach a billion things. We can binge watch YouTube. We can read a bajillion books. But at the end of the day, all this is really going to come down to is what your eyes see best. So everyone's like, I want Jenny's rules, or Jenny needs to, and that's great. Like, and it's nice. Or Pat's system, and Irving does this, or the guy, VP Morgan, right? There's amazing people from all different levels and walks of life. But at the same time, like, your eyes have to see it. So if I tell you 1, 2, 3, you have to see what I'm defining as one. So if that indicator helps you see things, then you're on the right track. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Now, you do need good rules. You do need that. I mean, that's the bottom line. You need really great rules to be successful long term and to actually hold it. But other than that, as long as that helps you see it, then you're doing great.
By far, the best indicator are your eyes.
Oh, yes, I agree. Now, I like that. I've been taking people saying this all week. I think I'm going to take that one too. Can I take that one? Can I say that Lewis said that?
You're welcome to it.
Okay. Lewis says the best indicator are your eyes. And I really, honest to God, think that. I really, really legit do. So it's the best thing you can do. So take care of your eyes. Eat carrots. Lots of carrots. Sorry.
Lewis, is it a free indicator or is it a paid indicator?
It's a free custom indicator.
Okay, let's see. So here we go. I'm going to go to Euro USD. Somebody had just asked in the chat. Euro USD is still pushing down. So like we discussed, it's going to pull back. But until we have confirmation, this is doing what? I mean, so what are your eyes telling you? So Duke, can you talk? Can you, there's no volume. Like, there's no volume on your call? Or like you have no volume in the market? Well, if I'm talking, he can't hear me, huh? If he has no volume. Well, either way, this is Euro USD. Sorry, did you guys read that? It says no volume. Can you look at Euro USD? I'm not crazy, right? That's what it says.
That is what it says.
Okay, so like my misunderstanding. So I don't know how you can hear me if you have no volume, or if you're saying the market has no volume, but Euro pairs, as I discussed, are pushing down. So this doesn't take Jenny's definition, and I'm hoping that as you guys grow and learn and post screenshots, if you're in the SuperEZ group, post screenshots of what you're looking at. And then you can say thank you to the this is the triple arrow system, or hey, this is Lewis's wave thingy. Try not to confuse the new people. That does really confuse them, but like, you can post your screenshots of this is what I'm looking at, and you're not tying yourself to some signal you're giving out. You're looking for feedback. You're sharing trade ideas. Same thing with the advanced group. Do that, and I promise you, someone's going to be willing to tell you it doesn't matter what you're seeing, because this is below the 50. This is selling. So if you just tell me, if I drag my mouse from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, this is going down. Our job is to stop looking for buys if price is going down, because it literally is physically going down. I mean, there's no simple, more gentle way to say that. So to look at it again, this is the 1 hour chart. So a slightly smaller time frame. Fortunately, we're stalling out here, which is fantastic. If you wanted the high risk, let's just gamble my money away. First off, you could mail it to me because I don't gamble as much. But if you want to do that, your stop loss would be tight, right? So you have a very, very tight stop loss and you might get your push to the upside. Woohoo, fantastic. But the odds are you're still in this area of accumulation of consolidation, and you do not have any confirmations to start buying. You have a buyer's divergence, which is great, but you also have FOMC, which is risky, right? You do have some stalling, which is great. Wicks to the downside, or at least this one. Again, great. An impulse move up, well, great. We can read that how we want to read it, but we push right back down to the same level, which makes this invalid, right? We broke again. We still can't even break the 33. Not so great. A couple wicks to the downside. Not so great. So the way I see this trade, and the people who take trades like this, who take this crossover as the fast entry, like of the MACD, or take that kind of overbought, oversold kind of entry, is I see this as gambling. Because here's pretty much what you're saying. You're saying price hasn't broke below there. Oh no, that means it can't. I'm going to go ahead and press buy. So you press buy. Woohoo, you're super happy. And in your mind, you're like, tight stop loss, cool, I'm going to get my pips in your mind. But this is a gamble. You don't have any rules, confirmations, reasons, news. You have no technical or system-based algorithm that is telling you this should buy. You have some, it stalled a little bit, but price stalled a little bit here too for what, hours and hours and hours. And then boom, it dropped. And we can go back in history and go look at all the pairs that do this. Price stalled here for lots and lots of hours, and boom, it dropped. Stalled here and it dropped. It stalled here and it dropped. So that's kind of why I stopped trying to trade that way. And just for everybody listening who's gonna disagree with that, that's fine. You should trade the way that you're profitable. If you can withdraw, then you should do what you're doing. If you can't withdraw, then maybe entertain some other ideas until you can. I mean, that's kind of the most fundamental, simple answer. If you're withdrawing, do what you're doing. If you're not withdrawing, please consider another way. So this
You're
is not,
saying, you're
yes.
saying hope isn't a trading strategy?
No, it's not. See?
No, that's good. That's good.
Right? Good morning, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. I got one cup of coffee down. I'm on a roll.
Oh yeah, I got good coffee this morning. I got Starbucks. I needed it. I was tired yesterday.
There you go.
I was sleepy. I could hear it in my voice. I was like, oh man, that's not gonna work. No, sir.
No, I think that's wisdom what you're saying, because we all do it. It's like, oh, it's got to go up now. It just has to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And then you keep dropping the money you just got. So
Over and over again. So I've done it. Trust me, I'm no better than anybody else. Like I've done this a whole bunch of times. Well, it has a vector, or there's support and resistance, or here's a supply and demand zone. It's got to stop. The supply and demand zone, guys, for those of you who use that indicator, is painted on here because price stopped. But I promise you it was painted here, and it was painted here, and it was painted here, and it was painted all those other places too, right before we dropped. So just an idea. There's a different way of trading. So.
Well, that is just great, Jenny, because I got into those e-pairs, and and now you tell me all this. Well, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm still doing pretty good on it. I got 17, 42, 25, pips on all of them. But yeah, I'll take a look at cutting that short.
Right. It's just a different thought process. So we're pushing down right now. It happens to be up on the screen so we can watch it. Is it guaranteed that price is going to drop? No. But at this point, I don't have enough evidence, right, to be willing to invest. So if I came to you and I said, hey, I'd like you to invest in my company. I need X amount of, I need $10,000. I need $50,000. Would you not have rules, that you say, okay, well, let me see your credit. Let me see your business score. Let me see your business plan. You would have things that you care about. But somehow we look at these candles and these charts and we just decide, well, this is a good investment and I feel like this, and today's Tuesday, so why not? Or, somebody in some chat somewhere said this and I think that maybe that's right. And we trade like that all the time versus, hey, do I have enough rules? Is there enough evidence to say this is worth buying? If you were selling or buying a house, you would never buy it that way. You would want rules and evidence, and you'd want, an appraisal. You'd want information on the water rights. You'd want information. But trading, for some reason, we see some candles and we're like, hey, listen, Linda, I feel like this is overbought, so probably going to go up. We'll see. That's how we trade. Sorry. We do that all the time. I know I've done it. Lord knows I've done it. Too much. Watch this bust out. It's gonna, sorry. For anybody who's trying to buy this, I'm sorry. And if you got your 10 pips, good on you. But just long term, and I don't find it to be a viable strategy. So Clarence said, it seems like the triple arrow is trying to predict the end of a trend, which can be dangerous if you are a newbie. Clarence, it can be dangerous, but if you learn how to use it, you can also make 6 figures with it. So totally up to you. So this is Euro USD. This is the 1 hour chart. We're going to stay on here because, well, we're here and I like to try to not find the perfect entry. So these little baby, let's see, OBJ marca. This is right here is actually was created by Scott. It shows you where the big arrow was. And just for conversation purposes, let's take a look at this. I'm going to go back to the 4 hour chart as we break below that line we just dropped. Of course, we're going to break below because it's not done selling. And if it is done selling, we just don't have enough confirmation to buy. So bear with me. Let's answer what Clarence was saying. The triple arrows work if you know how to work them. So the trend is your friend until it's not. Then you start trading reversals. Yep. Yeah, well, look, I'm sorry, Margosha, we will go. Well, here, let me go over this example and then we'll look at Euro GBP. We will do that. So I'm going to kind of zoom out, make this super ugly. We have our triple arrows, right? And then we went down. But notice how we broke our EMAs. We had enough confirmation. We broke the 0 on the MACD. For those of you who use other oscillators, we had our currency crossover. We had room. Okay, so we had an impulse move to the downside. I know it's kind of zoomed in and ugly, but impulse move, retest of that move. So if you draw a trend line, we broke it, we retested it. Okay, so let's take a look. We broke below the EMAs. Now this triple arrow has a meaning. If we just take it every time it appears, that's silly on us, right? So again, we pulled back. That's not a bad thing. We didn't necessarily consolidate for a long time, but again, we broke below. So pulled back, cool. We know the price never goes straight up or straight down. But once we get over here, that big arrow starts to paint, which means I'll drop a line to show you. Here we go. So as of right here, this would have been triple arrows. Okay, now technically, could you have got your pips out of that pullback? Yep, if you would have entered, let's go late, you still would have got more than your average daily range, you're golden. Now, even if you entered with the trend, so you waited till after it broke, whatever your EMAs are, whatever your choices are as a trader, my choice would probably be somewhere in here or here. It's been here lately because there hasn't been a lot of volume in the market. Okay, so even if I got in at the price I would have, I still got more than my average daily range. Like if you wait for confirmation, the triple arrows, now let's go over here. Notice how we have the big arrow painted, but the triple arrows never really appeared. And for those of you who kept trying to buy here, because for example, we had our 4 hour dots, or here, that are 4 hour dots, we never even broke above the 8. We're still staying in this downward trend. So yes, the triple arrows are trying to predict the basically trend change, which is one of the reasons why I got started. I loved the concept of that because I could never figure out, well, how do you know the trend changed? It was one of those mind-boggling things that frustrated me. But either way, now I understand it. I'm totally okay with it. Whether the trend changed or not, I know how to trade it. I know that if we go back in time, okay, let's kind of scroll over a little bit if it'll let me. This would have been a triple arrow setup. And even if I got in late, I would have won. Or what you guys call late. I call confirmed. You guys call it late. I'll take my confirmed late entries with a bigger stop loss. Leaves the market to room any day over y'all's fast entries with lower accuracy rates, tight stop losses, any day of the week. So same thing here. We had a triple arrow system. If we got in, once we had enough confirmation, we still would have won. And then of course they repainted because we technically made a lower low. So having that tool really shows you what the market is doing. Triple arrows, it did not make a higher high, so that's why it did not repaint. Just scrolling back just to kind of show you the value and understanding how it works. Come on, silly booty. Let's stay right there. So same thing. This is where the big arrow would have been. This is called a trail, I think is what he calls it. These little diamonds. But here we go. We would have entered. You would have won if you actually followed any amount of rules. You would have won, even though this repainted. If you followed any rules and any protection, you would have won, even though it repainted. Now, if you just took it all willy-nilly because you felt like it, and you took 70 other trades, the odds are this caused a margin call in your account. You lost your entire account, and you lost 50 other trades at the same time. But that's poor trading management. It's not poor trading strategies. It's poor trade management. Did that make sense, Clarence? Okay, Margosha, here you go. Euro JP GBP. I'm going to say again, whatever I say on this pair, you probably should do the opposite, because for some reason, this pair is like my kryptonite. It was the highest paying pair, so I decided I was going to be special and important. I decided I was going to be the boss of this pair because, well, it was the highest paying pair and was the hardest one to master, so I wanted to master it. Having said that, I literally traded solely this pair on a single account, and I got worse. My numbers, honest to God, got worse over those 6 months and not better.
I think I'm there.
I know, right? I really tried to master this. It's a very expensive pair to trade. The blessing is it doesn't move fast. So, you do have some room. The downside is the euro and GBP were tied so closely to each other's value that it made, at least for me, some people have mastered this pair and that's great for them. I just can acknowledge that I did not. So keep in mind the euro just split from the GBP. I don't know if Avery's on this morning, but I think he can describe it better than I can, but I'm pretty sure now they are no longer tied. Who on here is a news guru? Who knows the answer to that? Anybody? The euro and GBP are not.
They went through Brexit, right?
So after Brexit, basically, they are no longer part of the same union, if I'm saying in Jenny's terms, right?
Right.
So now we should see a better difference in the value of them. In theory, again, I'm not an economic expert by any means. In theory, we should see a difference. So having said that, let's look at our triple arrow systems and what we're seeing. Unlike the other pairs, we do have some impulse moves to the top side, okay, which is good. We stalled out here, but again, just going off a basic structure, imagine this naked. Imagine this as if there was nothing on it, if you can, to the best of your ability. Price stalled out here for many candles, right? We broke below that. Now we're pushing up and we have a doji, but we still don't have any major confirmation to say this is definitely turning around. Now, the odds are, could you scout this to that ADR high? The odds are, yeah, you could. At least on this pair, the euro is stronger than the GBP. The odds are you do have enough room for that. But in terms of the actual trend direction, we just broke below and we don't have any impulse move to the top side. We do have a doji, which is fantastic, but it's kind of not placed at the end, it's placed in the middle. So that technically means it doesn't mean as much, according to JCP, the Japanese candlestick people. So do I know that I know? I don't. But again, just going off some basic things, we are not above the zero on the MACD. We are finally getting this crossover, but we don't have any volume in that crossover. So for example, the euro is not above the 60. GBP is below the 40, but this is still like a maybe baby. Odds are, can you get your pips to the ADR high? Yes, because that wouldn't even break the current zone. So from where price is at now to the current zone, it's about 17 pips to that last high. 17 pips. ADR high is about 20. We'll just round it down to 20. Can you odds are get that? Yes. There's a very, very high probability. Once you break above this area, you've got your triple arrows, you've closed above the EMAs. Now you might have enough confirmation to say, hey, I get it. I'm seeing it. Now I see this as a buy. From there, could we potentially see this upward move? Yes. But as of today, as of this very second, analyzing it from where price is currently at, we're not there yet.
I think I've been kind of scalping off of it just a little bit. I was in it and it was upside down for a moment, and then it went into positive because I'm, my charts is just strictly the money tree, and that's what's on my chart. The indicators, it's the money tree and triple arrow on there. So that's, and then I think underneath is the MACD. So that's all I have to really go on to look at to figure out what I guess I need to put a little more on there to understand the momentum a little bit more. So it's just now going up a little bit. And as you said, I probably am going to only be able to get about maybe 20 pips for now before I actually see some real momentum So I'm gonna be like really careful.
Well, just trade it at a smaller lot size because it's worth double
Yeah.
what a lot of pairs are. And look, you can trade.
This is my favorite pair.
I tried to make it my favorite pair, but I couldn't do it. I wasn't good at it, so I decided it was
Yes,
no longer my favorite pair.
I got it.
Just saying. I'm just saying I couldn't do it. I was
I
not
get it.
good.
I understand.
Let's see.
So, but thank you so much. Like, I'm gonna be really, really careful. Just watching and just making sure that I don't. And I am in a smaller lot sizes. I'm only like 40 and 50 cents. It's not. I'm not up. Too big. You know.
And hey, whatever
Saying,
you have on your chart, like you can decide what you need to see it. So if you want more stuff on your chart, it's okay. If you want less, okay. But ultimately, whatever's on your chart should define the way you see the market. So
Right. I would love to have something with a little more momentum. Seeing the
ADX.
moment. Is that it, the ADX? Just to show a little bit more of the momentum of the pair. So I'll know a little bit more, not just that it's gonna move in that direction, but that it's moving in that direction and it's gonna, be there for a moment.
Okay, so check it out. If I had to pick any one thing for momentum other than the custom indicator we built in the other group,
Uh-huh.
that indicator kind of has everything at this point. But this right here is my favorite. This remains my favorite. And there's
Okay.
another version that's free on the marketplace. It's called Easy ADX. For those of you who really hate this, because I've got a lot of feedback saying, well, I don't like the lines, or that's fine. However your eyes see it is fine. My job isn't to tell you how to see it, it's to help you see it in a way that you understand it. So
Right.
when you take areas like this, and I'm going to get my annotation tool just to show you, hopefully this is on screen. Do you see how this is really low?
Yes.
The white line is below the 20. So the white line is our momentum, and that's below the 25.
I see.
So and I'll try to make this, I mean, go to close that. Look at me trying to do this. So price consolidates. Hey, I never said I could, you guys, I can trade, but YouTube is kicking my butt. I can't make anything work on that thing. Like I'm feeling not all that smart dealing with YouTube. I don't even know. Okay. So momentum is lower. Okay. This is what we're looking for. You're waiting for the breakout. You're waiting. If the momentum is below the 25 line, you're waiting. Okay. Always.
I see.
So, oh, silly me. Of course I would do that. Okay. There you go. This is what you're kind of avoiding. I know people who trade with the ADX at a different setting. Mine is set at 10. That's not necessarily, I got that from Dr. Spiller. It works consistently for me. I don't have a reason to change it. I like those settings better than the super sped up ones and the super slowed down ones. So that's my preference, is to set it at 10. Okay.
Yes.
Obviously my colors are purple and green. They're biblical. I love it. It works.
Yes.
But that white line being above the 25, that means the purple is the sellers, the green is the buyers. When the white line is up, okay, you know that there's enough money in the market. That's how you get this big.
Wow, nice.
When the white line is down, you know that price is going to just stall out. It's not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, I see.
So
thank you. That helped tremendously. And that's the ADX.
It's average directional. If I go to my MT4, this is just regular. I would click on trend, click on average directional movement. Okay. I hit 10, set to close. Color is white for momentum. Okay.
Okay.
Green and purple. Those are my two colors. Green is for buyers. Purple is for sellers.
Okay.
And level is 25. I've kept 40 on there a lot in the past. I even kept 20, 25, and 40. But I like it with the simple, just 25. The 40 tells me a totally different thing. So to keep it simple, I would only put the 25 on there. And I have it on all time frames.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to try to do that now. I'm not as technical.
Okay.
I'm going to try to do that though, on my own.
You don't know.
Thank you.
So if you need help putting an indicator on your chart, just jump on my call. We will walk you through it. We have a lot of really amazing people in our little family. So I promise you, if it's not just me, we can help you walk through getting it on your chart as beautifully as possible and just step by step. And I promise you, you guys can ask those newbie questions. You can have somebody walk you through, hey, don't laugh at me. I don't know how to get the indicator on here, because all of us are at different points. There are things I don't know how to do. For example, make videos. But there are things you know how to do that I don't know how to do. So Scott, he codes stuff. Barbara, we all have these people that all kind of work together that will help in different ways. So
Yes.
can we do this recording over again? Yes, thank
Hey,
you.
Jenny, the currency relative strength indicator, is that also in the marketplace?
So this one was free when I first started recommending it to the family. But of course, once they got enough downloads, here's what legit happened. I recommended it on Tuesday night one time, and then literally by Thursday, it was a paid for indicator. So I do have a different one. Let's go. I'll show you which one it is. I'm going to go to market.
Jenny, while you're looking, I just want to chime in for a second.
Okay.
If you are wanting to be able to install an indicator and you don't understand, go to YouTube and type in how to install an indicator on MT4 or how to install an expert advisor on MT4. There are lots of videos and they will walk you through it.
Thank you.
Hey, gold is dropping again. If it breaks this low on the 5-minute chart, take another sell, guys. For those of you who are scalping it. Let's see. Sorry, I just wanted to chime in with that real quick. Thank you. Hello. It's not working for some reason. That's strange. Okay, anyways, so back to this. For the guy who just stepped up and asked about my currency strength indicator, this one right here is my favorite, and clearly for good reason. It has the words written on the side. Now, there are indicators that have these words written on the side up here. I like it also because I can turn on just 2 currencies at one time to where I can see them clearly. You see the crossover and you program it different. But the one that actually made the biggest impact in my trading career was absolute currency. I have to go back again. I thought it was that one, but let's find out. This one right here. And now it's not pretty. It's not fun. Okay, definitely not. But bear with me. Here's legit what I did. This one's free. And it did, when I say it totally did, make the biggest difference in terms of my accuracy. So I stopped taking trades where I did not get the crossover. And I'll show you exactly what I did. So I literally opened up an entire screen for only this indicator. And I would go to this, how we have multiple charts open at one time. I literally did this because I couldn't see it all zoomed in. So I know it's ugly. I know it's not pretty. When you drag your mouse over whatever color it is, it'll tell you this is the Australian, this is the JPY. And you'll notice that the color of the actual chart that it's actively on, so on JPY, these lines are technically thicker, right? So if I go ahead and drop on Euro USD, kind of you'll see it a little bit differently. So I'm going to do that right now. Euro USD. Let's see, bear with me. It's thinking. It doesn't think as fast as we do. It's still thinking. Let's see.
But as far as accuracy, you think the both of them are relatively?
Actually, I think this one's more accurate. It's just harder to teach with.
Yeah, no, I see it's a little messier.
Well, if you notice, when I dragged and dropped Euro USD, this one has a clean crossover, right? It's simpler in a way. It just doesn't have the written words on the side, which you can get that anywhere, believe it or not. Those are all over, as well as I've dropped some in the group. But this will tell you, so the US dollar is green, okay, the blue. And this one actually matches the words like greenback, and it actually matches the reason for the color, believe it or not. So this is the one I originally used, and it works. But the way I used it was I put it on its own chart. I made it really big. I had it cover the entire chart window, okay? Oh, here, I'll delete this one, indicator list, and then you'll see a little bit better. Delete. So you do have a key now that I deleted the other thing. So you see the key up here, it'll tell you what is what. So if I see a fresh crossover, for example, I'm seeing USD and GBP, fresh crossover right here at the 0 line, kind of important, right? US dollar is getting stronger than GBP, and that's a clean crossover. This is the 4-hour time frame. I typically trusted this mostly on the 1-hour time frame, but it's an awesome indicator, and this one is free. It's called the Absolute Currency Strength Indicator. I just don't really recommend you go spend $60 on a currency indicator, because currency heat wave is free on your phone. There's this website, which is also free. Again, I used this as well. Let's let it load. So this is, I hope you can see it, but it's currency strength meter. livecharts.co.uk. This is the indicator I used, right? Well, the website more accurately, I used quite, and it updates very rapidly. So it's kind of cool. I always refresh it out of good habit though. JPY is extremely weak. So for that purpose, the only thing I'd recommend you guys spend money on in terms of an indicator, honest to God, is trade managers, is things that manage or inform. Because we have a bajillion apps that, well, indicators that tell us to buy, sell, they tell us what the market's doing. And oftentimes it results in more noise and less results. So your best bet, if you're going to be shelling money out for indicators, at least in my opinion, is you're better off spending it on managers, on information, on the ultimate kind of information kind of thing, because honestly, that's what has a value. Almost every indicator that's made has some version of a free version out there that's pretty comparable. So that's just me though. Sorry.
Gotcha. That's helpful. Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, guys, any other questions, comments? I'm not going to be on here 2 hours like I am for the other class. I've got actually 3 meetings back to back today. So that should be fun. Anybody else? So Annie, I'm gonna go check the YouTube thingy. Oh, thank you, Elliot. I appreciate you. I know, right? I know they totally should give me lots of thumbs up. I agree. Nicodemus, if I'm saying that right, I hope I did not butcher your name. Pat is on a cruise with his lovely wife. They will release the new system as soon as it's done. He's having it tested. It's more simplistic and should kind of eliminate a lot of the hesitation, hopefully. But of course, we just give it some time. He's trying not to release a faulty, bugged up product. He is trying not to release something that consistently needs new updates. It's hard. So even working with a couple other people, it's difficult because the more you use it, the more bugs you find, the more you tweak it and tamper with it, the more stuff happens. So ultimately, he's working really hard. He's got people working on it. So he will release that to anybody who's in the SuperEZ group. If you're not yet in the SuperEZ group and you want to join now, message me. I'll give you Miss Donna's link. She's awesome. So she's an admin in the group. If you are in the SuperEZ, then you already get the old system and you'll get the new system. If you join after he releases it, then you'll only get the new system and will not have access to any of the old indicators. So I believe that's what he's doing for those of you who do not know. So any other questions, comments, pairs, anything along those lines at all? I'm always seriously. Mike, you got any questions? Are you there? See if you can unmute.
Jenny, just want you to know that you're doing a wonderful job, and I appreciate you and the SuperEZ family.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I do all the time. I still love you guys. So last night I went to my daughter's little concert. It was kind of like an impromptu thing. It wasn't like an actual concert, which we found out after we went. But she performed in the band. I think she performed with another school and they did a good job. I think they were competing against Orange Park from Fleming Island. So that is why I canceled the call. Donna goes, you just got to cancel. Just go to the concert. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. So that is what I did, just for all of you. Like, I hope everything's okay. You don't miss a class. It was just a concert.
Families first.
Yeah, it was fun though. I like the sound of band. It gives me that like giddy high. It gives me that good time. It's fun, you know, and it's important. So it is definitely important. Definitely. Shino, yes, this is recorded. It will be available. Dawn, a trade manager. Ron's Easy Trade Manager is a free one. Otherwise, everything else is paid for. And I believe our very own Scott is in the process of producing the ultimate beast of a 10 option, 10 times kind of trade manager, because his brain is so intrinsic. Is that a right word?
Confused.
I was going for a positive thing, Scott.
Scott.
See, but he's creating something pretty awesome that will be an incredible trade manager as everybody cheers him on, because it will give you 10 options to be able to close, enter, exit, manage. And then he's very detail oriented and it's going to be awesome. It's probably going to take an hour to explain it, but it's going to be awesome. So That's what I would recommend once he gets that done. If I had to recommend one, that's what I would recommend. So anything else, everybody?
It'll only cost $100,000.
$100,000.
It'll be worth every penny.
If you can
Oh,
make
that's it. That's just a weekend. That's just something that you spend on a weekend, right, Jenny? Or is that $150?
I'm just glad I can pay him in demo money.
Hey, Aliqua knows. Okay, we can't be having $150 weekends. You guys need to like up some figures in that. Okay, because how are you supposed to go like to a nice dinner, to a new place? You know, go explore things and get a carriage ride and get your nails done. You can't do that at $150.
I'm not
That's just
getting my nails done. It's not at the top of my list.
You know how much J-Lo spent the day of the Super Bowl? How much you want to bet that there was multiple
exactly
in that butt?
Hey, whatever she spent, it was worth it.
Until it's your money, Derek. Hey, Derek, if it was your money, I would love to see what you said to your wife. Mm-hmm.
If I was tall and handsome and rich like Rodriguez, I would be okay.
It's a baby. Oh, it's okay, baby. You can go spend 6 figures on your hair, your butt, your skin, your legs, your nails, your lashes. But just as long as I get to look at you for an hour, I don't think you'd be on board with that. I'm just calling you out. Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it family friendly.
I was going to say, we are talking about Derek here.
Oh, true.
Instead of the source.
Yeah, they're so bad.
Like I said, my optometrist says your eyes have gotten better.
Okay, I see.
They've been on the J and the low.
Okay, I see. Okay, who's eaten something really amazing in the last few days? Mm-hmm. And Aliqua, I know you haven't had any meat, so what'd you eat?
Actually, well, since you ask, I wasn't even going to go there, but since you just gave me the platform and the stage, made this wonderful, shut up, Derek. Just stick to your blood type diet, okay? So I've been playing with this jackfruit, and oh my goodness. So I made
sound like you had an orgasm.
Derek, I rebuke you.
Oh my God.
Okay, wait, I've read about jackfruit. It supposedly tastes like you could make the fruit taste like barbecue pork and stuff, right? Like it is all
or like
is that
anything.
true?
So that's that back rib sandwich, huh?
So what I did was I marinated in a whole bunch of seasonings. I even had like some jerk seasoning, Cajun, and you know, a little of this and a little of that. Marinated that like overnight. And then I can't believe that over here they had some chickpeas and quinoa like noodles, like pasta. Because I usually don't do pasta, but since it's like chickpea and, you know, quinoa, I was like, great, no egg in it. So I made that. And I made like some cashew cheese, like unchicken Alfredo. And I mixed that all together. I had to turn around. I was just like, who was up in this kitchen with me? That thing was so good. And I was just like, somebody put some chicken up in here. I mean, that
Jamie flew in and put some chicken wings in there.
I think somebody snuck in there, did a black ops mission, switched out my jackfruit for some real meat, threw it in my pan when I went to look inside the refrigerator, and oh my goodness, I was just like, you ready for a vegan cafe near you? Okay.
Somebody give her some ice water.
Like, oh my goodness, you did that?
You guys, do you realize she said unchicken? She just referred to me as unchicken. Unchicken.
Because it tastes like, you know, because it's like, it's not chicken Alfredo. So I made it like, you know, with the sauce over the noodles, you know, and I mixed in the seasoned jackfruit that had like the meaty texture with the flavor. Oh.
Okay, let's see. I can't with you. So you didn't put any Parmesan or no Asiago, no Romano, nothing.
Now, see, Jenny, you're messing it up. You're messing up my dish.
So
You added
what's in your
extra.
Alfredo? Just help me
Look,
understand.
Jenny.
What did you put in your cheese sauce? Because those are
Okay,
all
so
not vegan.
the cheese sauce is I soaked some cashews. Stop it. It's not funny, y'all. This is healthy. Don't have me get on a lecture of having a clean colon.
Colon, I knew colon had to be mentioned.
Don't have me start, having this little health kick, conversation about healthy colons, healthy organs, lower blood pressure. Okay. Now this is what I had in my cash. Everybody pin drop quiet now. But anyway, so I soaked my raw cashew nuts, drain them off, rinse them, throw them in a blender with don't ask for the measurements. You gotta YouTube it, Google it or something. With some lemon juice, some seasonings, whatever, how you want to do it. And then what gives it the cheesy taste is the who's that? Oh, my brother. What give it a cheesy taste is nutritional yeast. I did that. And
right.
I think I put like a little almond milk in there, but the rest was like water. And like whatever season that you want to put in there, blend that up to creamy, pour that over the noodles, added the meat, and it was a wrap. I slept good that night. I thought I was at somebody Thanksgiving, a Big Mama Sunday dinner house.
Not Big
and
Mama.
I did have some it sounded like I love roasted Brussels sprouts.
I wish what was his name?
And some sauteed kale.
Say you thought you were in
I had to add my greens, so I did have sauteed kale and some Brussels sprouts.
Listen,
and I think I squeezed some fresh ginger juice. I made some ginger. Did I make ginger? Yeah, some ginger juice with lemon and agave, some water.
Nice.
Can you imagine Aliqua cooking
y'all
for her
like that was
first?
boring. No, I didn't have fried catfish or mac and cheese with collard greens or a Parmesan eggplant lasagna. I think that was very special.
Imagine what Aliqua cooks for her first date.
I can't wait. You please come and tell us. Come tell us what Boaz says, okay?
You know what? I am his help me, so I'm gonna help him. I'm the help me, so I'll be helping him have a healthy colon.
Amen.
Oh my God.
That's love.
Right.
What kind of conversation that gonna be? How's your colon doing? How many movements do you have?
Sickness and disease starts in the colon, guys. I'm telling you.
You got listen. You have to bring him on the Ritz-Carlton cruise because listen, I'm gonna want to talk to him about how he's doing and feeling after your first few months together.
I just pray that God will give me the desires of my heart. I just want him saved and sanctified, a Bible believer, a Bible walker, and a vegan. I mean, I can finagle, and my best friend.
Bible pump.
The word saying whatever you ask for.
And a little bit taller than me.
The word say ass, so.
Exactly, it is so.
Hey, wait, who said
let every word be established?
Who said a little bit taller than me? Who said that?
Aliqua.
How tall are you?
I mean, 5'7".
Oh, see.
Okay.
She's good height.
That's my daughter's
She
prayer
got that
as
5'7" in the forehead, though.
Oh, please. Let him be taller than me when I put on heels. But if you out there, Boaz, what God has purpose for me, because he know my needs. But
He
Lord,
may be 5'2". He may be 5'2".
No, he's going to be the right height. Yeah, for me, I pray
I touch
that my husband be right.
My husband, sister.
That's right. I pray that my husband be taller than me with platforms, and he was.
Even if I got to stand on the second step on the ladder, Lord, please let us.
That's right.
That's why you ladies going to basketball games, huh?
Oh my goodness.
You guys are all extra. Let me tell you, all of you are extra.
Now you
But it's
see all
extra
what
in
my
love.
virgin ears went through in Iraq with the liquid now, y'all.
Wait. Hey, Ricky, can you unmute yourself? Because I know that you feel like that Parmesan, the Parmigiano, right? That she's just described as a sinful thing, right? Ricky, you got to unmute yourself.
Jenny, I think you're talking about what's his name, Rich.
You talking about Rich?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, man. I was like, is that the wrong Ricky? I know he's gonna listen.
Please don't tell me I'm the only non-animal eater on this call. Where
DJ
is
did it for a few weeks. DJ did it for a few weeks.
All the animals I eat are vegetarians.
No, they not. Them chickens be eating anything that you throw them at them. Them ham hocks.
Come on now.
Chitterlings.
Oh.
Oh, now you. Oh.
I'm vegan when it comes to chitterlings. I don't do chitterlings.
Yeah, I found out what it was before I had one, so I never had one.
Yeah, no. This is a family show, so I can't call them what I really want to call them.
Yeah, I know.
They smell.
Nasty.
Yeah, they smell like you want to call them. That's for sure.
That's nasty. Yes.
Y'all taking that to the neighborhood now. It's black on black crime.
I'm trying to be right now.
Yeah, I don't think that just let the chitterlings go. You
Yeah,
don't
let
have
them
to
go.
eat
Nobody has to eat
everything
those.
on the animal. That's what I'm saying.
I think vegetarian or not, just let them go. That's what I think.
That's part of our freedom. We can let that go.
Let that go.
That's right.
All right, guys, with all of our silly butts. So if you're not in gold, real quick, gold is pulling back, kind of retesting that candle, which is exactly what we wanted to see. But I definitely, for sure, think that we've got a good enough sell. Mind you, if you're not comfortable with FOMC, please skip it and don't fuss about it. So I'm going to pull that up. Maybe, let's see if it'll let me. And seriously, wait for this to retest a little bit. It's got to pull back. I don't know if it will pull back all the way. It looks like it already retested. Let me go to new share. Let me go to this and I'll share this screen. And then we're gonna get out of here. So I can go do this while they're meeting. So if I go to a smaller time frame, this is it. So we tested 50% of that. We retested the 8. So now we're kind of really waiting to see what happens. Because think about it. We came back, we broke this low, just so you guys understand what we're seeing. We broke it. It's broketed. We retested it. We're looking for the drop. So there's your final trade. If you're looking for something, if you're in the signals group, you guys got your signals already and you're chilling. And other than Aliqua and her dietary pleasures, I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I'm going to hop off though. I'm not trying to be on here for hours and hours today. Seriously, no.
I know.
No, seriously, right?
Thank you, Jenny.
Go
Thank you, Aliqua.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Inspect
you.
your
You
colon.
guys are a riot. I need it.
Gotta have some fun, guys. We hang
Just love. I love it.
Much love. Make sure y'all eat some green vegetables today. Grace and peace.
Get a smoothie.
Roughage.
Thanks, Jenny.
Take time to you soon. Thank you all.